It was a sweltering Tuesday in mid-June when my world started to crack, though I didn't know it yet. My name is Brenda, and this is the story of how my sister's betrayal turned our family into a battlefield. I'd always been the responsible one, the one who worked double shifts at the hospital as a nurse, scraping together every penny for my little girl, Lily. She was about to turn 6, and I wanted her birthday to be magical, the kind of day that would light up her big brown eyes and make her forget the long hours I spent away from home. But life had other plans, and they came wrapped in the form of my younger sister, Savannah. The phone rang just as I was collapsing onto the couch after a 12-hour shift, my scrubs still clinging to my sweat-dampened skin. It was Savannah, her voice bubbling with that infectious energy she always had, the kind that made you feel like anything was possible. "Brenda! Oh my God, I heard Lily's birthday is coming up. Let me plan it. Please. I love parties, and you're always so busy saving lives. Come on, sis, it'll be epic." I hesitated, rubbing my temples. Ben, my husband, was out of town for work, and the thought of organizing invitations, decorations, and a cake on top of everything else felt like climbing Everest in flip-flops. "I don't know, Save. I've got a budget, $500 max. That's all the overtime I've saved." She laughed, that light, tinkling sound that always disarmed me. "Oof, that's plenty. I'll make it the best day ever. Unicorns, balloons, a bounce house. Lily will think she's in a fairy tale. Just give me your debit card details, and I'll handle everything. Trust me, Bren. We're family. Family." That word sealed it. We'd grown up in a chaotic house with parents who fought more than they loved, and Savannah and I had always stuck together through the storms. I texted her the card info, feeling a rare spark of relief. "Okay, but stick to the budget. Promise." "Cross my heart," she replied, and I could picture her dramatic gesture, hand over her chest. Little did I know, that promise was as fragile as tissue paper in the rain. The next few days blurred by in a haze of patient charts and midnight coffee runs. Savannah sent me excited updates, booked the venue, found the cutest invitations. I smiled at my phone, imagining Lily's squeals of delight. It felt good to lean on someone for once. It started with a ping on my phone, a bank alert that sliced through my lunch break like a scalpel. $300 at Dick's Sporting Goods. What the hell? Lily wasn't into sports. She loved dolls and drawing. My fingers flew across the screen. "Save, what's the $300 charge? That doesn't sound party-related." Her reply came quick, almost too quick. "Oh, that's a special surprise. Trust me, it's gonna blow Lily away. Don't worry your pretty head about it." Face blowing a kiss. I stared at the message, a knot forming in my gut. Ben called that evening, his voice steady over the line from his hotel room. "Babe, you okay? You sound off." "It's probably nothing," I said, forcing a laugh. "Savannah bought something weird for the party. Said it's a surprise." He chuckled. "Your sister's full of surprises, all right. Just keep an eye on the account. We can't afford extras." I nodded to myself, but sleep evaded me that night. Memories flooded back, Savannah as a kid, borrowing my allowance for candy, always with a wink and a promise to pay it back. She'd grown up, though. Hadn't she? By morning, I'd convinced myself it was fine. After all, what harm could a little surprise do? The charges kept coming, each one a tiny earthquake shaking my foundation. $450 for catering, way more than we'd need for a kid's party. Then $600 on a party bus rental, and a $200 custom cake from some fancy bakery I'd never heard of. My texts to Savannah piled up. "Hey, these charges are adding up fast. We're over halfway through the budget already. Save. Everything okay? Call me, please." Radio silence. No bubbly emojis, no excited updates. Just nothing. I paced the kitchen, phone in hand, while Lily colored at the table. "Mommy, is Aunt Save making my party big?" she asked, her crayon scribbling a rainbow unicorn. I forced a smile. "The biggest, sweetie. Aunt Save's the best at parties." But doubt gnawed at me. That evening, I called her, straight to voicemail. "Savannah, this isn't funny. The budget's almost gone, and the party's in 3 days. Call me back." My voice cracked on the last word. Ben sensed my panic when we video chatted. Brenda, breathe. Maybe her phone died. Or she's busy finalizing things. Yeah, maybe, I muttered, but my mind raced with worst-case scenarios. Was she in trouble? Had she overspent by accident? I replayed our childhood. Savannah always the dreamer, me the fixer. I'd bailed her out before, but this felt different. Deeper. Malicious. No, I shoved that thought away. She was family. The silence stretched, broken only by more alerts. $150 on decorations, $200 on entertainment. The total crept toward $2,500, and my trust eroded with every digit. Party day dawned bright and merciless, the sun mocking my churning stomach. Lily bounced in her car seat as we drove to Savannah's house, her pink dress fluttering like butterfly wings. Is there gonna be a pony, Mommy? Aunt Save said maybe. We'll see, baby, I said, gripping the wheel. Ben squeezed my knee. It'll be great. Stop worrying. The street was jammed with cars, minivans, SUVs, even a coach bus idling at the curb. Kids in baseball uniforms spilled out, laughing and high-fiving. My heart stuttered. What the... We parked and approached, the air thick with the scent of hot dogs and popcorn. A massive banner flapped in the breeze. Congratulations to the All-Stars. Champions forever. Not a single mention of Lily. Ben's hand tightened on mine. Brenda, this isn't right. My vision tunneled. Mason, Savannah's 10-year-old son, dashed past in his jersey, a trophy gleaming in his hands. This was his team's victory bash. Not my daughter's birthday. Rage bubbled up, hot and unyielding. She wouldn't, I whispered, but the evidence screamed otherwise. We pushed through the front door into chaos, a sea of cheering kids, parents clinking beers, music blasting from speakers. Banners, streamers, a DJ booth, every extravagance I'd unwittingly funded. And there, shoved into the dimmest corner of the living room like an afterthought, was Lily's party. A rickety card table draped in a plain white cloth, a dozen wilted cupcakes from the grocery store, not the custom cake I'd paid for, and 3 limp balloons bobbing sadly. No gifts, no games, no joy. Lily's face crumpled, her lower lip trembling. Mommy, is this mine? She whispered, clutching my leg. Tears stung my eyes. Sweetie, Savannah appeared then, weaving through the crowd with a red Solo cup in hand. Bren, you made it. Isn't this awesome? Mason's team crushed it, state champs. I grabbed her arm, pulling her aside. What the hell, Save? This is Lily's party money. You stole it for your kid. She rolled her eyes, sipping her drink. Stole? Dramatic much. I just repurposed it. Mason deserved this. Lily's young, she'll forget. Besides, family shares, right? Her nonchalance ignited something primal in me. Shares? You took everything. Look at her face. Lily stood frozen, staring at the corner as Mason's friends roared with laughter nearby. Ben scooped her up, murmuring comforts, but the damage was done. In that moment, betrayal crystallized into fury. This wasn't a mistake, it was theft. And as the party raged on without us, I knew our family ties were fraying beyond repair. The din of Mason's championship party pulsed around us, a mocking soundtrack to my unraveling world. I stood in Savannah's kitchen, the air thick with the scent of cheap beer and grilled hot dogs, my sister leaning casually against the counter, her red Solo cup tilted like she hadn't just shattered my trust. Lily clung to Ben's side in the living room, her tiny hand gripping his, her eyes darting between the sad card table and the raucous celebration that wasn't hers. My voice trembled with barely contained rage as I faced Savannah. You need to explain this. No. She sighed, twirling a strand of her blonde hair, her nonchalance a slap in the face. Chill, Brenda. It's not a big deal. Mason's team won the state championship. State, sis. That's huge. I saw a chance to throw them a real party, so I used the money you gave me. Lily's 6. She'll get over it. I blinked, stunned, as if she'd doused me with ice water. Used the money? Savannah, that was $2,500 for Lily's birthday. You drained my account for this. I yanked my phone from my pocket, opening my banking app. The balance glared back, $12.47. My knees buckled. You spent every cent. She shrugged, sipping her drink. Yeah, well, parties aren't cheap. Catering, the bus, the DJ, it adds up. I figured you'd understand. Family supports family, right? Support. My voice cracked, loud enough to turn heads. You stole from your niece. You saw her face out there. She's heartbroken. Savannah's eyes flicked to Lily, then back to me, unyielding. You're being dramatic. I got her cupcakes, didn't I? Kids are resilient. Mason's moment was a once-in-a-lifetime thing. I stepped closer, my hands shaking. You didn't even ask. You lied about every charge. That special surprise at the sporting goods store? That was for Mason's team, wasn't it? She smirked, unbothered. Trophies and medals. The boys loved it. I wanted to scream, to shake her until she felt the weight of her betrayal. But Ben's hand on my shoulder stopped me. Brenda, he whispered, his voice low but firm, let's get Lily home. We'll deal with this. As we left, Savannah called after me, you're making this bigger than it is, Bren. Don't be a buzzkill. Her words echoed in my head, each one a nail in the coffin of our sisterhood. That night, our small apartment felt too quiet, the silence heavy with Lily's disappointment. She sat on her bed, clutching her favorite stuffed unicorn, her voice barely a whisper. Why didn't Aunt Save want my party, Mommy? I knelt beside her, brushing a curl from her tear-streaked face. Oh, sweetie, it's not about you. Aunt Save made a bad choice. We'll fix this, I promise. But as I tucked her in, her soft sobs lingered in my chest like a bruise. Ben sat at the kitchen table, his jaw tight, a glass of water untouched in front of him. She didn't just mess up, Brenda, he said, his voice low to avoid waking Lily. She stole from us. From our daughter. That's not a bad choice. That's a crime. The word crime hit like a freight train. I sank into a chair, my mind racing. She's my sister, Ben. I can't just turn her in. Can I? Memories flooded back, Savannah and me as kids, hiding under the blankets during our parents' fights, promising to always have each other's backs. But this wasn't a childhood squabble over toys. This was $2,500, painstakingly saved, gone. This was Lily's broken heart. Ben leaned forward, his eyes steady. If you let this go, what's next? She thinks she can take whatever she wants because family shares. She needs consequences. I stared at the table, tracing the grain of the wood with my finger. What if I call her first? Demand she pays it back. And if she doesn't, he pressed. She's ignored your texts for days. She didn't even flinch when you confronted her. She's banking on you letting it slide. He was right, and I hated it. By midnight, after hours of pacing and whispered arguments, I made the decision. It felt like betraying my own blood, but Lily's tearful face burned in my mind. I had to protect her, even if it meant losing Savannah. Morning light filtered through the blinds, but it did nothing to lift the weight in my chest. I sat on the couch, phone in hand, my thumb hovering over the non-emergency police number. Ben sat beside me, his presence a quiet anchor. You're doing the right thing, he said softly. I nodded, but my throat tightened as I dialed. The officer's voice was calm, professional. How can I assist you, ma'am? My sister, she stole $2,500 from me, I began, my voice shaking. I explained everything, the debit card, the budget, the charges, the party that wasn't Lily's. Each word felt like a stone dropped into a still pond, rippling out to change everything. The officer listened patiently, then said, What you're describing is grand larceny, ma'am. That's a serious offense. We can take a formal report if you're ready to proceed. I swallowed hard, glancing at Ben. He nodded, his hand squeezing mine. Yes, I said. I want to file a report. Her name is Savannah Marie Carter. As I gave her details, address, phone number, the whole ugly truth, shame and fury warred inside me. Shame for airing our family's dirty laundry. Fury for what she'd done to Lily. When I hung up, I felt hollow, like I just set something in motion I couldn't stop. The police moved fast. That afternoon, an officer called to confirm they'd contacted Savannah. She ignored their first call, but the second time, she picked up. I wasn't there, but the officer later told me she'd screamed into the phone, her voice shrill with panic. "My sister's a psycho. She's trying to ruin my life over a stupid party." I could imagine her pacing her cluttered living room, her face flushed, her excuses piling up. The officer, unfazed, laid out the stakes. "Miss Carter, you have 48 hours to repay the $2,500 in full, or we'll issue a warrant for your arrest on charges of grand larceny." When Savannah called me an hour later, her voice was venomous. "You called the cops on me? Your own sister. You're a monster, Brenda. I'll tell everyone what a selfish, vindictive bitch you are. You think you're so perfect, but I know your secrets." "What secrets?" I snapped, my patience gone. "You stole from my daughter. You don't get to play the victim here." "You'll regret this," she hissed before hanging up. Her threat hung in the air, but I felt a strange clarity. She'd crossed a line, and I wasn't backing down. The fallout was immediate. My phone buzzed relentlessly. My parents, my brother, even an aunt I hadn't spoken to in years. Mom's voice was tearful, accusatory. "Brenda, how could you do this to Savannah? She's your sister. You don't call the police on family. She stole from Lily, Mom." I shot back, my voice rising. "She threw a party for Mason with my money and left Lily with nothing. What was I supposed to do?" Dad got on the line, his tone gruff. "You're tearing this family apart. You should have handled it privately. Now everyone's talking about us." "Everyone's talking because Savannah made it a spectacle," I said, tears burning my eyes. "She didn't care about Lily's feelings. Why should I care about hers?" My brother, Jake, texted, * "You're a snitch. Savannah's a mess because of you." * The word stung, but Ben was my rock. "They didn't see Lily's face," he said, pulling me close. "You did what a mother had to do." As the calls and texts piled up, I realized this wasn't just about money anymore. It was about loyalty, trust, and the price of standing up for what was right. Savannah had started this war, but I was ready to fight for my daughter, no matter who stood against me. The air in our apartment felt heavy the morning after I filed the police report, like the weight of my decision had settled into the walls. Lily was at school, her small backpack bouncing as she left, unaware of the storm brewing around her stolen birthday. I sat at the kitchen table, staring at the coffee mug Ben had left behind before heading to work. My phone buzzed, another angry text from my brother, Jake, * "You're destroying Save. Hope you're happy." * I didn't reply. My family's judgment stung, but Lily's tearful face from that sham of a party burned hotter. Around noon, the doorbell rang, sharp and insistent. I opened it to find Savannah standing on my porch, her face a mask of fury, her blonde hair pulled into a messy bun. She thrust a white envelope at me without a word, her eyes blazing. I took it, my fingers brushing the paper, and saw my name scrawled in her familiar, loopy handwriting. Inside was a check for $2,500, made out to me, the ink still fresh. "You happy now?" she spat, her voice low but venomous. "You got your precious money back. Hope it was worth ruining my life." I clutched the envelope, my heart pounding. "This isn't about the money, Savannah. It's about what you did to Lily. You broke her heart." She laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Oh, please. She's a kid. She'll get over it. You're the one making this a federal case." She turned to leave, then paused, glancing back. "You're not my sister anymore, Brenda. You're nothing to me." Her words cut deep, but I stood firm. "You made that choice when you stole from us." She stormed off, her car peeling out of the driveway, leaving a cloud of dust and silence. I deposited the check immediately, watching the $2,500 reappear in my account. It felt like a hollow victory. The money was back, but the war was far from over. With the money restored, Ben and I threw ourselves into planning a real birthday for Lily. We kept it simple but perfect, exactly what she deserved. We rented a small pavilion at the local park, decorated it with rainbow streamers and a unicorn piñata, and invited her closest friends. The bakery we chose made a cake shaped like a castle, topped with sparkly pink frosting that made Lily squeal when she saw it. "Mommy, it's like a fairy tale," she said, her eyes wide with joy. The day was warm, the sky a brilliant blue. Kids laughed as they ran through a sprinkler, their voices mingling with the pop music playing from a portable speaker. Ben manned the grill, flipping burgers, while I handed out juice boxes. Lily, in her glittery tiara, darted between her friends, her smile brighter than I'd seen in weeks. For the first time since that awful day at Savannah's, I saw my daughter happy again. As she blew out her candles, surrounded by cheers, I whispered to Ben, "This is what it should have been." He squeezed my hand. "You made it right, babe. For her." But even as I watched Lily open her gifts, a stack of coloring books, a stuffed pony, a glittery art kit, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was just a pause in the storm. Savannah's parting words echoed in my mind, and I braced myself for what might come next. The peace didn't last. A week after the party, Lily came home from school with tears streaming down her face. She dropped her backpack and ran to me, burying her face in my lap. "Mason said I'm the poor kid who can't afford a real party," she sobbed. "He said everyone hates me because you're mean to Aunt Save." My blood ran cold. Mason, Savannah's son, was in 5th grade at Lily's school, and he'd clearly heard his mother's version of events. I held Lily close, stroking her hair. "Sweetie, none of that's true. You had the best party, and your friends love you. Mason's just being unkind." But the next day, it happened again. Lily came home quiet, her eyes red. "He told everyone you called the police on his mom. Now kids are whispering about me." My heart sank. This wasn't just a family feud anymore, it was a vendetta, and my 6-year-old was caught in the crossfire. That night, Ben and I sat at the kitchen table, our voices hushed to avoid waking Lily. "This has to stop," I said, my hands clenched. "Savannah's poisoning her kid against us, and now he's bullying Lily." Ben nodded, his jaw tight. "We can't let this slide. Mason's targeting her because of what you did, and you did the right thing. We need to protect her." I agreed, but the thought of escalating things further made my stomach twist. Still, Lily's happiness was non-negotiable. We decided to act, not just for her but to send a message that this behavior wouldn't be tolerated. The next morning, we met with Lily's school guidance counselor, Ms. Rivera, a kind woman with a no-nonsense streak. I brought a notebook where I'd meticulously documented Mason's behavior, every cruel comment, every date, every tearful report from Lily. "It started after my sister misused funds meant for Lily's birthday," I explained, my voice steady despite the lump in my throat. "I had to involve the police, and now Mason's taking it out on Lily." Ms. Rivera frowned, flipping through my notes. "This is serious, Mrs. Carter. Bullying isn't tolerated here. We'll investigate, starting with Mason and any witnesses. Can Lily share what's been happening?" Lily, sitting between us, nodded shyly. "He calls me names and says my mom's a bad person. Yesterday, he pushed my lunch tray off the table." I squeezed her hand, my heart breaking. Ms. Rivera's expression softened. "Thank you for telling me, Lily. We'll handle this. I promise." As we left, Ben whispered, "You did good, Brenda. This is about protecting her." But I felt a chill. Savannah wouldn't take this lying down. 3 days later, the school called. I expected an update on Mason, but the principal's voice was tense. "Mrs. Carter, we've received a formal complaint from Savannah Carter. She claims your husband has been spreading rumors about her family and influencing staff against her son. We need to meet." I was stunned. "That's absurd. Ben hasn't done anything like that. This is retaliation because we reported Mason's bullying." The principal sighed. "We take all complaints seriously. Please come in with Mr. Carter tomorrow." That night, Ben was livid. "She's turning this on us? After what she did?" He paced the living room, his hands balled into fists. "She's trying to make us the villains." I nodded, exhaustion settling into my bones. "She's desperate. The police scared her, and now she's fighting dirty." We prepared for the meeting like soldiers gearing up for battle, gathering evidence of Mason's behavior and our interactions with the school. But as I lay awake that night, Savannah's threat rang in my ears. "I'll tell everyone what a selfish, vindictive bitch you are." She was trying to rewrite the narrative, and we were now under investigation, caught in a new battlefront she'd opened. The war wasn't just about money anymore. It was about truth, loyalty, and shielding Lily from the fallout of my sister's vengeance. The principal's office smelled of stale coffee and old wood, the kind of place that felt like it held 1,000 tense meetings in its walls. Ben and I sat across from Principal Hargrove, a stern man with wire-rimmed glasses that seemed to magnify his scrutiny. My notebook, filled with dates and details of Mason's bullying, lay on the desk between us like a shield. Savannah sat on the other side, her arms crossed, her lips pursed into a thin line. The air crackled with unspoken accusations. "Mrs. Carter," Hargrove began, nodding at me, "you've reported bullying by Mason Carter against your daughter, Lily." "Ms. Carter," he turned to Savannah, "you filed a complaint alleging Mr. Carter has spread false rumors about your family and influenced staff against your son. We're here to sort this out." Savannah leaned forward, her voice sharp. "Ben's been bad-mouthing me to everyone. Teachers, parents, even the PTA. He's trying to ruin Mason's reputation because Brenda's obsessed with her little vendetta." I gripped Ben's hand under the table, feeling his muscles tense. "That's a lie," I said, my voice steady despite the fire in my chest. "Ben hasn't said a word to anyone beyond reporting Mason's behavior. My daughter's been coming home in tears because your son's targeting her." Savannah scoffed, tossing her hair. "Lily's sensitive. Kids tease. You're blowing this out of proportion, just like you did with the money." "The money you stole," Ben cut in, his voice low but firm. "You took $2,500 meant for Lily's birthday and threw a party for Mason. Now he's bullying her because you can't own up to it." Hargrove raised a hand. "Enough. We're not rehashing family disputes. I need facts." He turned to me. "Mrs. Carter, your documentation is thorough. We've interviewed Lily and several classmates. Their accounts align with yours. Ms. Carter, we found no evidence of Mr. Carter spreading rumors. We need to focus on the children's interactions." Savannah's face reddened, but she stayed silent. I handed over my notebook, detailing every cruel word Mason had flung at Lily. Hargrove flipped through it, his expression unreadable. "We'll need a few weeks to investigate further," he said. "We'll speak to more students and staff. Until then, Mason and Lily will be monitored closely." As we left, Savannah shot me a look that could have melted steel. "This isn't over, Brenda," she muttered under her breath. I didn't respond, but her words clung to me like damp fog. The investigation felt like a courtroom, and we were all on trial. 2 weeks crawled by, each day a tightrope walk of worry. Lily seemed lighter at school, thanks to the teachers keeping a closer eye on Mason, but I could still see the shadows in her eyes when she mentioned his name. Ben and I tried to keep things normal, movie nights, pancake breakfasts, but the weight of the investigation loomed over us. When the call finally came, I was scrubbing dishes, my hands raw from nervous energy. Principal Hargrove's voice was measured but firm. "Mrs. Carter, we've completed our investigation. There's no evidence to support Ms. Carter's claims against your husband. He's cleared of any wrongdoing." Relief flooded me, but I held my breath, waiting. "And Mason?" I asked. Hargrove sighed. "We've confirmed a pattern of bullying behavior for Mason, not just toward Lily but other students as well. His actions, name-calling, physical intimidation, spreading rumors, violate our code of conduct. We're taking disciplinary action." I sank into a chair, the phone trembling against my ear. "What kind of action?" "We'll discuss that with Ms. Carter directly," he said. "But I assure you, we're addressing it seriously. We'll keep you updated on steps to protect Lily." I thanked him, my voice shaky, and hung up. Ben, who'd been listening, pulled me into a hug. "We did it," he whispered. "For Lily." But the victory felt bittersweet. Savannah's silence worried me more than her threats. I knew my sister. She didn't back down quietly. The school's investigation peeled back layers we hadn't expected. Over the next few days, whispers trickled back to us through other parents. Mason hadn't just targeted Lily. He'd been tormenting younger kids for months, shoving them in hallways, mocking them at recess, even stealing snacks from their lunches. One parent told me her son had stopped eating at school out of fear. The scope of Mason's behavior shocked me, not because I thought he was perfect, but because Savannah had enabled it, maybe even encouraged it. I called my parents to update them, expecting their usual defense of Savannah. But Mom's voice was quiet, almost broken. The school called us, Brenda. They told us everything, about Mason, about how bad it's been. We didn't know. You didn't want to know, I said, unable to hold back. You blamed me for calling the police, for reporting the bullying. But this is bigger than me or Savannah. It's about the kids he's hurting. Dad got on the line, his tone softer than I'd heard in years. We're sorry, Brenda. We thought it was just a family fight. We're talking to Savannah now. She's not handling it well. Their shift surprised me, but it was too late to mend what had broken. Savannah's choices had carved a chasm between us, and Mason's actions were the aftershocks. A week later, Principal Hargrove called again. Ms. Carter has been informed that Mason is being expelled, he said. His behavior constitutes a clear violation of our policies, and we can't allow it to continue. We've recommended counseling and alternative schooling options. I nodded, though he couldn't see me. What about Lily? We're implementing support measures, counseling for her if you agree, and staff training to prevent this in the future. Lily's safety is our priority. I thanked him, but as I hung up, a strange emptiness settled in. Expelling Mason was justice, but it didn't erase Lily's tears or the family we'd lost. That evening, my parents called again, their voices heavy. Savannah's not speaking to us, Mom said. She's furious, says we've all betrayed her. She betrayed us first, I replied, my voice firm but tired. I'm done protecting her from her own choices. The call ended with a strained silence, a final goodbye to the family we'd been. Savannah's absence felt like a severed limb, but I couldn't dwell on it. Lily needed me whole. By spring, Lily was thriving again. She'd joined an art club at school, her drawings filling our fridge with bursts of color. The bullying had stopped, and her smile was back, brighter than ever. One Saturday, as we sat in the park watching her chase butterflies, Ben wrapped an arm around me. You did it, Brenda. You fought for her. We fought for her, I corrected, leaning into him. And we won. We never heard from Savannah or Mason again. The family I'd grown up with was gone, fractured by greed and pride. But as I watched Lily laugh, her hair catching the sunlight, I knew I'd made the right choice. Calling the police, reporting the bullying, standing firm, it had cost me my sister, but it had given me something stronger, the unbreakable bond of my little family. Lily, Ben, and I were enough, forged in the fire of that impossible year, and no one could take that from us. The end.